Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're looking at the Polestar phone design tease in a short video. So back in September, Polestar announced its plan to launch a Meizu-made smartphone to complement its expanding fleet of electric vehicles, and we now have our first glimpse of the device. The company teased Polestar phone's design during its inaugural Polestar Day event. This was in California yesterday, in fact. The phone has the signature Meizu design language seen on the Meizu 20 series with flat metal frames and 3 camera modules housed in individual camera rings. A close-up from the video reveals we're looking at a 23mm equivalent main camera with a f1.9 aperture along a 70mm telephoto f.20 and a 50mm ultra-wide lens with an f2.4 aperture. Now, I'd like to just check out this video. Just first impression, of course, is very clean. You can see the cameras are horizontal. It's quite flat. It's going for a very premium, but it's probably only available in China. But if it is available outside of China, I'll be interested in checking out this phone for sure. I don't know if I'll get this phone for a second phone to review, to use on the channel. It does have some interesting design elements. You can see that for sure. The premiumness of this phone, you can see it looks like a premium phone. It's taken on a very similar design to like an iPhone, but even flatter. It looks really flat, almost too flat. Like it looks different from other phones, that's for sure. But the question is this really a Polestar phone, or is this just a Meizu phone with the Polestar name? Did Polestar have anything to do with designing this phone or making this phone or the technology within this phone? Or is Polestar just in charge of the integration with the phone and the vehicle? I think Polestar is mostly involved in the integration with the phone technology into the Polestar vehicle, which would make a lot of sense. I don't have any problems with this. I would like to see Polestar being a little bit more involved in the creation, in the process of this phone. But at the same time, I get it. This is for the Chinese market. And if it works for them, bravo. If this is what they want, and if it works for them, bravo. If it works for Polestar, if this is a great way to sell the vehicles in the Chinese market, is to offer a smartphone alongside your vehicle, they seamlessly work well together, that sounds great. That's what Apple is trying to do in the USA market. That's what Apple is trying to do in the entire world. Apple wants to bring EV vehicles to the global market. If Polestar is already doing this, bringing EV vehicles to the global market, and now they're bringing a smartphone, probably testing it out in the Chinese market, seeing how it goes, probably try it in other markets as well, but who knows how well that's going to perform. But if this is going to help with sales, if this is what customers want, we have no idea. As outsiders, we have no idea what it's like to be a consumer, a smartphone consumer, an EV consumer, in the Chinese market, in that lifestyle. We've got no idea. So who are we to judge? This might actually make a lot of business sense for Polestar. It might actually make a lot of business sense for Geely. And for the phone manufacturer as well, Meizu, it might actually make a lot of sense. So if anything, I'm actually happy Polestar is doing this. Now, Polestar phone also brings a flat display with a punch hole cutout for the selfie camera. The side feature Polestar branding, while the back has the company's logo. I did notice that. Looks very nice, by the way. Now, one of the interesting bit is how Polestar will integrate its upcoming phone with its cars. Just what I was thinking about is this might actually be very useful for their society, for their day-to-day life. This might not make any sense for us. For people living in Europe, people living in the US, what sense is there in buying a car that integrates with your phone right now? It already does that. If you buy a Tesla, there's a Tesla app. It integrates quite well. If you buy a BMW, there's a BMW app. There's a Mercedes app. If Apple comes out with a car, then you expect it to be extremely well designed and integrated, just like all of the other Apple devices. And then people wouldn't complain. If Apple made a car, which they're working on it, to integrate with their phone, to integrate the phone with the car and your lifestyle, integrate everything you have Apple in the Apple car, no one would complain. But I do hear some people complaining about Polestar making a phone. I'm still confused. My only criticism is How much influence does Polestar have in the design, manufacturing of this device, software? Do they have an opinion? Do they have a say? Or are they just providing a few features, a few apps, a few integration features? Because it really depends, it really depends. But at the same time, I'm happy that they're trying something different. There's nothing wrong with that. We've known for quite some time that the Polestar 2, it hasn't been doing particularly well in the Chinese market. Let's be honest. So the fact that they're designing different vehicles for different people with different mindset is good. The Polestar 4 is obviously more designed around the Asian market, more for the Chinese market. That's good. It's built in China, for God's sake. So this makes perfect sense. The Polestar 3, on the other hand, is purposefully designed to compete with a Porsche in the European market, in the US market. So Polestar is taken into consideration the vehicles that we're designing. Perhaps we should design these vehicles around a certain lifestyle, around a certain experience. For individual markets, this is actually a very smart strategy for Polestar to use, because the fact that they build their vehicles in China, it makes sense that they want to do extremely well in that market. That's their home. That's the home turf. Yes, they're a Swedish company, integrated in the UK or registered in the UK, and somehow on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange. They're owned by a Chinese company, so they're heavily integrated into the Chinese market, into the Chinese culture. And that's Polestar, and there's nothing wrong with that. The Chinese are leading the way in EV manufacturing. A few years ago, Elon Musk could actually laugh at the Chinese EVs that were being produced. And I think one of these companies were called BYD. Elon Musk was actually laughing at BYD a few years ago because the vehicles, the designs weren't the best. He isn't laughing anymore. Elon Musk is not laughing anymore. I should get those clips and post them on the YouTube channel. But Elon is actually actively taking BYD extremely serious, as he should, because I think they took what he said personally and they've done everything in their power to make the BYD brand even more authentic and even better than you could ever expect. Do not underestimate the Chinese market. Do not underestimate the ingenuity of the Chinese people. So in my opinion, this is where Polestar could do extremely well, especially with the Polestar 4 that is, as I said, specifically designed mostly for the Chinese market. The Polestar 3 is obviously designed more for the European market and the USA market. Now, the Meizu company, they're actually owned by Geely as well, and it's its own Flim Auto car software. It has its own car software. However, reports from China suggest that Polestar phone might offer a Polestar OS interface, which is likely to be developed in collaboration with Meizu. So there we have it. It does look a little bit Android. I thought it was Android at first, so that's my mistake. My apologies. But this is even better. If Polestar has more control over the software in this device and the software that's on the actual vehicles, this is perfect. This is what I've always wanted Polestar to tackle, is developing their own software for their vehicles. This is very important. This is what Tesla has done. This is why Tesla is so uniquely positioned as an EV company. They have their own technology, which is vastly important as a company. They rely on themselves. They don't rely on anyone else to develop their software. So the device is built as a flagship phone, meaning we should expect to see Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 chip, plenty of RAM, and some forms of fast charging too. Polestar phones is rumored to be exclusive to China, but we'll have to wait for more details and an official launch before jumping to conclusion. So could it possibly enter into the European market as well for a smartphone? Possibly, but I think right now they're mostly focused with this phone on the Chinese market, and I think that's perfect and it's genius. Good job for Polestar for thinking out the box. I'm really starting to understand why they've made the decision to make a smartphone. Now that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to see more, leave a like, leave a comment, and of course I'll see you in our next video. Peace.